A very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. Last episode, we brought you the first part in our series of great moments on tax matters in the year 2011, designed to bring you those high points of our offering to you on this program in the year 2011. Today, we want to continue that because time permitted us to only go through what we brought you in the first quarter in 2011. Today, we're going to continue. So please sit back and relax and enjoy it.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service introduces the tax card to make all tax payment easy for you. Just follow these 7 easy steps. Obtain your taxpayer identification number, TIN, for free at any FIRS office. Get your tax card from your bank. Log on to www.firsonline.com. Then register to obtain a password and access the payment process pages. Fill your TIN number, tax type you're paying, amount payable, and period of payment. Confirm the entries on your transaction. Then print your e-ticket and present at any FIRS office as an evidence of tax paid. It's that simple. For more information, visit www.firs.gov.ng or any FIRS office close to you. FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome once again. The first part in this series, which came to you last week, was rounded off with the 24th Convocation Lecture of the University of Jos, which was delivered by the Executive Chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, Mrs. Iveko Mogu Okauru. Kicking off the second quarter on tax matters in the year 2011 was the story of the 124th meeting of the Joint Tax Board, which was held in Abuja on March 28, 2011. At the Joint Tax Board meeting, which was held on Monday, March 28, the different speakers, chairmen of State Boards of Internal Revenue, representatives of other bodies, took time to talk about the menace of mounting of roadblocks in some of the states to collect taxes. And we discovered that in most of these instances, the state agencies, the state organs are not even involved. These are just hoodlums, permit the use of the word. These are people, unauthorized tax collectors, mounting roadblocks.
What the Secretariat has been doing is to pursue this issue of multiple taxation as agreed at NEC and Federal Executive Council that we should meet the governors forum, we should meet the governors and lodge our complaint, which we have done. We did a position paper which we presented to the forum, and twice in February we were to meet with them, but each time the meeting was postponed. And what we intend to achieve during that meeting will be to agree that the Inspector General of Police will be directed to assist, particularly on areas of roadblock that are mounted on the highway, and that actually we've not been able to hold that meeting.
In my state, the governor made the deputy governor the chairman of tax enforcement. At the time, on one of the major roads in my state, some people were there stopping vehicles, asking them to come to their office to pay for something, fees or something. So we got the information. It got to us, and we sent the revenue tax force. They went there and arrested many of them. They've been charged to court, really. They have police trousers and boots. They have ranks and so on. So all I'm trying to say is that this thing is everywhere, and it's not even emanating directly from the State's Board of Internal Revenue. Groups just come together, form organization, and decide to be harassing people to collect one revenue or the other.
From the Lagos point of view, the state government has actually done a publication on Lagos State's point of view with multiple taxation within Lagos State. And in line with what you said, we found out that there are a lot of illegal entities and persons who go about trying to collect these taxes, and we have arrested a number of them also. But I think the JTB should be able to have a publication and let the public know that if anyone asks for certain taxes that are not prescribed, they should report to the chairman of the Board of Internal Revenue so we can take action within our various states.
The 13th Annual Task Conference was held in the first week of May in Abuja, and we use this platform, this program, to take our viewers into the various venues of the conference.
I really, really love my country. I really, really love Nigeria. I stand for peace and progress, development to the fullest, 'cause I really, really love my country. I really, really love my country. I really, really love Nigeria. I stand for peace and progress, development to the fullest, 'cause I really, really love my country. We've been through ups and downs, but we stand. Togetherness has kept us this far. We've been studying for so long, but now it's time to get us moving. Do you really, really love your country?
Those are members of the Students Advocates for Tax, SAT, and that was a beautiful way in which participants at the 13th Annual Tax Conference were welcomed to the conference. Another high point of that night was the keynote speech delivered by the Emir of Jiwa in the Federal Capital Territory.
By the end of the month, the revenue mobilization, everybody is listening to know what they are paying for his local government, what they are paying for their state. Where do we get that money? It's a tax. But Nigerians, we like a woof. We don't want to pay Nigeria. Nigerians, we like a woof. We want to get, but we don't want to pay. Even God, if you give him, he will add for you. If you give, he will give you and he double it. Why can't we pay our tax? Why? Hiding your money, cornering money, using our boys. Instead of you to pay your tax, you say, Mr. Man, please reduce that money, and you don't want to pay what you are earning. Please, you should know that if you don't pay tax here, immediately you die, you are going to give the account what you have accumulated. You must pay that tax there where you don't have.
Earlier in the day, Wednesday, 11th of May 2011, the Society for Women in Taxation Suite hosted a symposium, and immediately thereafter, the West African Union of Tax Institutes, WAUTI, was inaugurated. The 13th Annual Tax Conference was formally declared open by former Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yakubu Gowon, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, who were told introduced the famous tax clearance certificate. Ardent viewers of this program, or at least those who watched the episodes on the Annual Tax Conference, would not forget that that conference provided the opportunity for the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, to make up with the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. And of course, the first ever Miss Tax was crowned at the gala night held to round off the 13th Annual Tax Conference. To mark Children's Day 2011, Tax Matters was presented to you by members of the Students Advocate for Tax who had a panel discussion. Upon the conclusion of the April 2011 elections, a special episode of Tax Matters was devoted to setting an agenda for the incoming Jonathan administration and the governors in the various states. Hello, Nigeria, and big congratulations to us all on the successful inauguration on May 29. You can see that once again, we are donning Nigerian colors like we did way back in October 2010 on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of Nigeria's independence. It's because we are happy. We are happy that Nigeria's democracy has matured. It has taken roots. For 3 times now, we have successfully transited from civilian to civilian regime. It calls for celebration. President Goodluck Jonathan himself has set an agenda for himself. He has done a good job at setting an agenda for himself. He has promised us electricity. He has promised us creation of jobs. He has promised us provision of infrastructure. In fact, in his own words, our days of lamentations are over. This is an era of transformation. But you see, the success of all of this hinges on something, and that is finance, funds, funding, which can only come in a sustainable manner from taxation. And so, on today's episode of the program, we have gone out to speak to those who should know. We have asked them to set an agenda for Mr. President in the area of taxation. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuloko. The program is Tax Matters, and it is Vox Pop. What would you want done in the area of taxation in the next 4 years?
Thank you so much. I think if I am to advise Mr. President, there must be serious attention placed on the taxation of non-oil. Hitherto, we have been depending on oil, and a lot of Nigerians have been docile about their responsibility towards taxation. So the vision, which I will advise him to pursue in the next 4 years, is to encourage all the 3 tiers of government, from the local government to the state government to the federal government, to pay serious attention on taxation. The second aspect is that people pay taxes. They want to see what you use the taxes for. We want to see what various governments are using the taxes for. If they don't, then they have to change them. And that is what the voters, they will change them through the ballot boxes.
In the area of taxation, what would you want to see in the system in the next 1 to 4 years?
Thank you very much. Taxation is dynamic, so the reform must go on. And luckily, President Jonathan had been part of the team who set this reform in motion. So we should think of all the ways we can fast-track and accelerate the reform in all ramifications. And I want the President to continue to support the tax institution at the federal level in particular, because any institution is as great or as efficient as the people in charge. They should continue to fund them, and most importantly, they should continue to respect their professional advice. Then, secondly, I want the new administration to focus on revenue mobilization in the real sense. The focus at the moment has been on allocation, what the politician calls sharing of cake, not how to bake. And the president should set an agenda for the revenue mobilization, allocation, and fiscal commission, because they also have something to do with tax. There have been so many fights, so many controversy between different levels of government on who has power to tax what. We have not even been able to resolve some of this conflict at the Supreme Court level. So President should look at how to have a far-reaching reform, even relating to the constitutional aspect of taxation, so that there could be far-reaching and enduring development in this area.
What would be your expectation in the area of taxation in the next 1 to 4 years? What will you want as a citizen to see in the area of taxation?
In the area of taxation, one of the things I like to see is a situation where the Nigerian will pay his tax willingly, voluntary compliance. And one of the things I think will engineer this voluntary compliance is a situation where infrastructure is provided for the people. People get to see what their money is being used for. So I think if within the next 4 years, if the government will at least improve on our infrastructure. Take, for instance, the area of power. I do know that if power is improved in Nigeria, most of our industries will pick up, the manufacturing sector will pick up, because one of the heavy costs they have, the BNR, is the cost of power. They run their generators on diesel, and this dips so hard into their pocket. So I think, and also you discover that when we have power, even the informal sector, so much of this informal sector depends on power. You discover that when power, which is one of the infrastructures we require in Nigeria here, is put right, I think the economy will grow naturally.
Listening to those interviews, which were recorded in May 2011, and of course, you remember that the episode also came to you in May 2011, one gets the feeling that they are fresh interviews against the background of what is going on now. Early in June 2011, still talking about high points of happenings on this program in the year 2011, a new helmsman mounted the saddle at the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, in the person of Mr. GFS Jegede, the 10th president of the CITN to date. In normal times, after the central enlarged management meeting of the FRS, which is traditionally held in Abuja, the 8 regions of the FRS take turns in holding what they call regional enlarged management meetings. But because of the elections of 2011, REM, regional enlarged management meetings, could not hold until June. And so in June, REMs resumed with that of the North Central region of the FRS, which was held in Makurdi. And as you will find in that one and all the subsequent ones, the day after the regional enlarged management meeting is now devoted to what they call stakeholders forum, where the FRS top management meets one-on-one with taxpayers, tax consultants, and other stakeholders. We want to share with you some of what transpired at the stakeholder summit in Makurdi.
The second issue I want to address is the request by the Federal Inland Revenue Service for the tax clearance certificates of company directors. The matter of the payment of tax of company directors is the issue of the state concerned. I want to find out from the service what actually is the practical age of a TCC. The actual age is 12 months. It expires, or it should expire at the end of the year. But before, just as one person mentioned, it takes time to process a TCC. Now, within that period, what happens? Is it 3 months? Could we use the old TCC for 3 months, or for 1 month, or for 4 months? Thank you very much.
From the study of the tax law, the withholding tax credit notes are applied in the year they relate to, and the balance carried forward to the following year. But I noticed in some revenue offices that when there is withholding tax credit note, the controller of that office or the head of RPP will insist that the entire withholding tax credit note is absorbed in the year the credit note relates. And in that event, the education tax of the company is astronomically increased. So the question now is it a crime for a company now to have withholding credit notes? If it is not, I think there should be a circular to that effect, that once you absorb the withholding tax credit note in the year it relates, the balance should normally be carried forward as is stated in the law.
We have an obligation now to know our customers. So knowing our customers is not only knowing the companies, but the people behind the companies. So one major problem we do have is like people duplicating companies. Maybe when somebody is having a tax liability, he doesn't want to pay it, and he's looking for another contract. He cleverly goes and form another company. It's an issue. Like more than 70% that are incorporated are idle. Now we have what is called UTIN and TIN number. The idea is to know what anyone is doing. So with the link, we will know whether such director had a link with another company that is not compliant tax-wise. That is the importance of asking for the director's tax clearance certificate.
You know that those directors and individuals are paid by the companies. and that amount is charged in the account. Of course, for corroborating evidence purpose, if we get a TCC that is issued from the State Internal Revenue Board, that will also help us to say this amount that is charged in the accounts is real. Because we have seen situations where amounts charged in the accounts are at variance with what is disclosed in the tax clearance certificate.
And of course, like we always say, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Several times in the year 2011, Tax Matters crew went onto the streets to talk to Nigerians on the streets, giving opportunity for people to express their views on matters relating to taxation. Vox Pop.
You go to federal institutions or federal government when you work for them. After paying you for your contract and deducting your money, there is no pay deduction advice given to you. So at the end of your day 10 or at the end of the year, when you are going to going for your own assessment, you now revert back to processing it. It's like exposing someone to double jeopardy. For us to get these things straightened, restructure the system, make the tax system liberal, so that people can voluntarily pay their obligations.
What knowledge do you have of the Nigerian tax system?
Really in Nigeria, at least we don't pay tax, especially I don't pay any tax.
Why?
Because I don't have light in my house, there's no water, no good road, and the rest. There's no security in Nigeria. In every country, when you have all these things, at least when you pay your tax, it's okay, but you don't have it.
But my reaction when people say there's no water, there's no light, there's no road, is that I'm not speaking for government, but my reaction is always that we are talking in the extreme. Are we, okay, look at this is Eagle Square, this is Abuja. Can anybody say there are no roads? And when you say there's no light, nobody is happy at the epileptic nature of power supply. But to say there's no light is an exaggeration. So, do you work in a structured environment? Are you self-employed or do you work in an office?
No, I work in an office. I work with Kano State government.
You pay tax?
Yeah, no. For example, just particular myself, just to bring money out of my pocket and pay it. I don't pay it. But they take from my salary. I know it. They take from my salary, and then that taking of my salary, at least I don't like it. I don't like it.
What's your assessment of the system?
The tragedy in this country is that the tax actually is supposed to help government to get some infrastructures on ground. Mm-hmm. But the tragedy is that as taxpayers, most times we don't even see what the government is doing with the money. The roads are bad, the hospital is nothing to write home about.
The roads in Abuja are not bad.
Are all of us from Abuja?
Abuja are not bad.
No, are all of us from Abuja?
No, sir.
I'm from the east, so if I'm traveling to my village, am I not supposed to, as a taxpayer, am I not supposed to run a very good...
Point taken, sir. We are not quite done with great moments on tax matters in the year 2011. In reviewing the episodes to bring you this series, we ourselves found that there were indeed great moments on tax matters in the year 2011. If time permits, maybe we'll do another episode. Otherwise, we'll let it rest because we have to move on. But before we move on today, we want to join other well-wishers in congratulating Pa Omogui and Mr. Asishona Okauru on their birthdays. Pa Omogui, the father of the executive chairman of the FRS, turned 80 on December 10, 2011. And on Boxing Day, 26th of December, the drums were rolled out in Benin. And on Saturday, the 7th of January 2012, Mr. Asishona Okauru, the spouse of the executive chairman, turned 50. Mr. Okauru is the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum. Pa Omogui, Mr. Okauru, congratulations once again, sirs. And to our viewers, we want to say thank you once again for watching. Join us on this same station next week for a fresh episode of Tax Matters. Thank you for watching and have a blessed week ahead.